continue today a reflection on the theological virtues, which will bring us to a close tomorrow, and then in Pentecost, at the season of ordinary time, we'll return to daily reflections on the readings. But today we'll reflect on the virtue of charity. We've reflected on charity under different guises at different points in the last few weeks, when we talked about charity as a fruit of the Holy Spirit. So in the church we talk about charity being arising in the soul through different means, but we're always talking about the same thing, whether we talk about it as a gift or a fruit of the Holy Spirit or as a virtue. We're talking about the same thing, but just from slightly different perspectives and the different ways charity is fostered in our soul. And so when we speak about the theological virtue of charity, we're talking about something very different to the common usage of the word charity today. These days, when we use the word charity, it's something purely horizontal. There's nothing particularly religious about it in, common society's discussion of charity, give to this charity or that charity or the other charity or this charity. It's seen as something separate from religion. It's seen purely as a way of loving our neighbour, but not as a way of loving God. For us, the matter is very much reversed. So the theological virtue of charity is primarily about not loving our neighbour, but loving God, and in a particular way. A virtue is a habit to act in a particular way towards that which is good for us, either on a natural or on a supernatural level. So a good habit, something that is a habit that disposes us to choose the good for us on a natural level, is the virtues of courage or fortitude or chastity or humility. And the virtues that help us act towards what is good for us supernaturally are faith, hope, and love. Because what is good for us supernaturally is God Himself. He is our goal. He is our perfection. He is who we're striving towards. And so the theological virtues are what direct us. They're the habits of action that direct us towards our supernatural goal, God. When St. Augustine described charity, he said, "Charity I call a movement of the soul towards enjoying God for His own sake." Enjoying God for His own sake. Not for my sake, for God's own sake, because He is good in Himself. A good analogy there is when we walk past a beautiful flower, or when we stand on a mountain at dawn on a beautiful day and we marvel at the beauty of the flower or of creation, and we marvel at it for its own sake, because it is beautiful in and of itself. We love it not because, we get a little bit of, a thrill out of it, but we love it not primarily for our own sake, but because it is beautiful and good in and of itself. And so when St. Augustine says, charity is that movement of the soul towards enjoying God for His own sake, in a similar way. And St. Thomas Aquinas takes us a step further. He says that the ultimate goal of man is to enjoy God, and to this, charity directs him. Charity directs us to God. But he goes a little bit further, because Aquinas says that we can also say that charity is essentially about friendship. It directs us to God in a particular way. It's not just, as if God were our master and we go to him. Charity directs us towards God in a particular way. And so Aquinas says, charity is friendship. Charity is friendship first with God, and secondly with all who belong to God, our neighbour. So charity is a way of being a friend with God first, and secondarily friendly, loving towards our neighbour. Loving God is always never our own initiative. It's something we do in response to God's love for us first. God gives his own love to us first, his friendship to us, and so we respond with friendship in turn. And Jesus himself says this. He says, "No longer do I call you servants." Our relationship with God is not one of servitude or employment or volunteering. Our relationship with God is one of friendship. No longer do I call you servants, but friends. So our deepest fulfillment is found in friendship with God. Today we celebrate the feast of St. Paul VI, Pope Paul VI, who was canonized only a couple of years ago by Pope Francis. And only a month or so after Pope Paul VI's election to the papacy, he reflected, he said, "I must return to the beginning, to relationship with Christ." I think these are powerful words from the Supreme Pontiff, from the one who holds supreme authority and office in the Church. Because what St. Paul VI is saying is that no earthly power, no experience, no amount of wealth, no relationship can compensate or compare to the fulfillment that is found in pursuing friendship with God. Nothing compares. Being Pope for a month and a half, he said, no, I need to return to the beginning. Friendship with Christ. This is what truly matters. In the Gospel, we hear that St. Peter also learns the value of charity after some significant interior suffering, because he had turned away from Christ three times. He rejected friendship with Christ 3 times, and then witnessed him die. And I don't think there are any words that can adequately describe the grief that St. Peter would have felt at his failure in charity. He failed in friendship to the Lord. But today we hear the Lord give him another chance, as he gives each one of us another chance, over and over again. He renews his friendship with us every day. And so he says to him, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me?" And this is exactly what the Lord asks each of us. For Paul VI, it was his office of the papacy that threatened to distract him from friendship with Christ. For St. Peter, it was his own sense of security and his fear of death himself that separated him and compromised his friendship with Christ. For each of us, there are different things that threaten to compromise and undermine our friendship with the Lord. But always the Lord asks us, "Do you love me?" and offers us the chance to say, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." To which he says, "Come, follow me."